Frank Borelli from Officer.com joins us tonight. Frank, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Cam. How you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fat. Well, I'm fat and happy.
You're fat and happy, and this is even before the cookout started, right?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a big celebration, but it's something worth celebrating big. So
it is. I don't know if you had a chance to listen earlier. I was taken aback by this. Apparently, 26% of Americans in a recent survey did not know who the United States declared independence from in 1776.
Is that a surprise? But I'm sure there are other facts that they could tell you based on public education today. Do you really want to open that can of worms?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think if you asked what is the name of the Octomom, probably 85% of Americans could tell you that. How many kids does Kate Gosselin have? They could tell you that. But yeah,
it's a sad state of affairs.
Isn't it?
That's why we fight the education battle, and as you and I both well know, it starts at home. You teach your kids the right way.
Absolutely. All right, so earlier this week, Frank, we saw the U.S. Supreme Court say that the City of Chicago's handgun ban, they did not quite come out and strike the ban down, but they did say the Second Amendment is incorporated against state and local government action, and they remanded the case back down to the Seventh Circuit. City of Chicago is not waiting. They went ahead and replaced their gun ban with all kinds of new gun laws. I don't know if you've had a chance to see any of these, Frank.
Oh, yeah, and they're doing the same thing Washington, D.C. did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Supreme Court says that what we're doing is wrong, but we're going to do everything we can to do the same thing we were doing in a different format, and make it just as difficult as possible for the law-abiding citizen to have a firearm for self-defense. It's, I don't know.
I got to think
it's politically predictable.
Well, it is politically predictable, but it was interesting. Earlier this week, Reverend Al Sharpton, I didn't even realize he had a radio show, but on his radio show, he was talking about this, and he said that 90% of his callers were happy that the Supreme Court did what it did. They were happy to see Chicago's gun ban go away, and you could tell that Sharpton was a little surprised. To his credit, he brought it up. He mentioned it on the radio program. But, I got to think, Frank, that there are a lot of people who live in these big urban areas where there are really restrictive gun laws who are now seeing what Mayor Daley's doing, who saw Mayor Bloomberg say, look, our gun laws are fine. Washington, D.C. City Council, as you said, instituted some really draconian gun laws after the Heller decision. And yet these people see every day the gang members continue to walk the streets even after an arrest is made. They'll go away for a couple of hours, maybe a couple of days, and then they're back. Repeat violent felons have no trouble getting guns and using them illegally. And
that's the key. Cam, these citizens are seeing firsthand on a regular basis that the gun laws aren't working, that no matter how much you restrict it, the criminals are still going to get them. And It's in their face day in and day out, especially in the densely populated urban areas. So, I mean, they're not stupid. In general, we are not a stupid populace. If something's not working, you do something different. I mean, isn't that the definition of insanity? You always do what you've always done and expect a different result. They understand that the politicians aren't getting it.
Yeah. Well, they do, and the sad thing, the politicians don't get it. They keep
exactly.
They keep insisting that no, this is the way to do it. I'm curious, Frank. Among law enforcement, when you talk to the rank and file cops, does this ever come up? The idea that the focus is in the wrong area. That rather than passing these ordinances that go after legal gun owners, that really the focus needs to be on that core group of. And I'm guessing in a city like Chicago, you're maybe talking about 5,000-6,000 individuals who are causing who are committing a large percentage of the violent crimes in that city.
And opinions amongst police officers are as wide and varied as opinions in the general population. Mm-hmm. But you have naturally every officer out here would love to know that they don't have to deal with gun violence. They also know that it's a reality of life and there's no way to escape it. Every cop I know is disillusioned with the justice system in its failure to hold repeat felons in prisons. This getting out on good behavior after you've earned a law degree on my tax dollar and exercised diligently and become a monster on the streets, that's disheartening to us to have to go out and lock these people up again and again and again. And every time we see them, they're in better shape and they're better educated and they're better trained because that's what they've done while they've been behind bars.
Yeah.
But police officers in general would love, too, for the average everyday citizen to have the ability to defend themselves against these kinds of people, these criminals, because we know we can't be everywhere all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I saw a study that was done, I guess, by the San Francisco Police Department. They looked at officer-involved shootings in the city over the last 4 years, I think it was, and they found 15 officer-involved shootings, quote, in which San Francisco police officers discharged a firearm in the performance of their duties that resulted in an injury to or the death of a person. You may not be surprised, Frank, to know that all of these 15 individuals had something in common. They all had prior arrest records. And on average, Frank, now I know that really didn't surprise me, but what did surprise me, on average, each one of these individuals had a 12 misdemeanor arrests and 15 felony arrests to their name.
Well, we were talking about San Francisco, right?
Yes.
Well, your average felony crime is going to get you 30 days and a lot of free meals. I mean, I don't have a high opinion of the city of San Francisco's political process in general, in case you couldn't tell.
Has it not gotten better? I mean, I know a couple of years ago there was a lot of complaining about Kamala Harris, the DA there. Has it really not gotten any better?
I don't know. I mean, my poor opinion of San Francisco stems from their almost immediate boycott of Arizona and the immigration laws and all that other stuff. I mean, I haven't seen what I thought San Francisco doing a whole lot of the right things, but that's my limited opinion.
Yeah.
But it's not a surprise to me. I mean, when you have police officers getting in shootings, and as a matter of fact, I'd like to know what they did with the study. It wouldn't surprise me if the city of San Francisco didn't take those 15 officers and give them mandatory sensitivity training or something because they were being too violent. But it is sad. You see these repeat offenders, and then they put the police officers' lives in danger or innocent lives in danger, and then the police officers have got to do their job. And,
yeah. Well, and what's really amazing here is, again, I mean, all of these individuals had priors. On average,
28 arrests. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, on average, 28 arrests, and yet only 1/3 of them were eligible to be tried, convicted, and imprisoned under California's 3 strikes law. I mean, on average, each of them had 15 felony arrests, but only 1/3 of them had even 2 felony convictions.
So here's what happened, because the other 13 were either plea bargained down, deals were cut, they rolled over on somebody, they worked the justice system.
Yeah, and that's
so there's 15 felony arrests, and you get into the complicated language of lawyers too. Was it 15 individual felony arrests, or was it 15 felony charges that could have been 2 arrests? I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But it's a sad state of affairs that you've got somebody with 28 arrests that's out there that the police officer has to deal with again.
Absolutely. Well, again, we love having you on the program, Frank, to kind of talk about these issues related to law enforcement. And we know that the rank and file officers, even in cities like Washington, D.C. and Chicago, often have a far different opinion of the Second Amendment than the politically appointed chiefs out there. I think it's
large majority of them supported and the individual citizens' right to defend themselves through it, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I saw in the comments, actually, at officer.com, in the comments to one of the stories about the Chicago gun ban, a lot of pro-gun cops commenting and kind of mocking Mayor Daley's new gun laws.
Oh, they are happy to see that the Supreme Court is forcing common sense to reign.
Absolutely. Hey, Frank, thanks again for coming on the program tonight. Happy Independence Day to you, sir, and enjoy becoming even fatter and happier this weekend.
You do the same, Cam.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Frank Borelli, the editor-in-chief of Officer.com, with us on the program.